Good day, everyone. I am EnPTinio, a Filipino Environmental Planner. I will talk to you about 15-minute cities in the Philippines. For this paper I wrote, supported by the Friedrich Naumann Foundation in 2022. What can you do in 15 minutes? We can live, play, and work better than today if we choose to bring services near our homes, if we choose to fund public transport, if we allow more cultures into our neighborhoods, and if we can maximize this gift of internet connectivity and digitalization. These are 15-minute cities in the Philippines. What is a 15-minute city? These are cities with goods and services that are accessible within 15 minutes through walking, cycling, or public transportation. It is not a new concept, but precisely a proximity-based planning intervention that has been popularized by Professor Carlos Moreno. Professor Moreno's 15-minute city principle has four core principles: proximity, or bringing access to services and goods with less cost and effort; diversity, which means bringing in more different cultures from different backgrounds into neighborhoods; density, which entails strengthening social relationships and promoting mixed building models; and ubiquity, which is precisely focused on making services more universal through the use of the internet. Proximity, the proximity principle aims to bring daily needs and services closer to homes and points of interest. In 15-minute cities, we can cycle or walk to buy food and even work. The conversion of parking spaces to bike lanes is also prevalent in global 15-minute cities. Because of this, they can save space and increase open or green spaces. One example of how cities one example is Melbourne's local livability study, which provided the city insights for improving existing city infrastructure by demonstrating how the city residents meet their daily needs. Through diversity, 15-minute cities increase participation of residents in policymaking and planning. The Anti-Displacement Action Plan of Portland aims to address one of the biggest critics to 15-minute cities: gentrification, or involuntary displacement because of rising prices. The inclusion of the specific needs of identified sectors such as children and senior citizens are also considered by global 15-minute cities. One of the most popular examples of 15-minute cities or proximity-based planning is the super blocks in Barcelona. Density was increased through recreating spaces and prioritizing social interactions. The superblocks concept of Barcelona, which was created by grouping blocks and restricting vehicular traffic in the inner blocks, have increased green areas from around 9,700 square meters to 18,600 square meters, and increased the number of ground level commercial establishments by 31%. Ubiquity, or making services more universally available, can be done is being done by global 15-minute cities with the use of internet and teleworking. Milan's Citizens Digital File contains personal information of residents for online citizen services. Bogota also uses its Street Mix platform, where citizens can propose street redesigns online. In this study, we used Valenzuela City as a case study to identify which elements of the city already correspond to these core principles and examples of global 15-minute cities. These initiatives may be considered as an indication that adopting the 15-minute city approach in the Philippines is possible and feasible. Why Valenzuela? As you will see in the following slides, in June 2022, they pedestrianized the Fatima Avenue. Here are some elements and programs of Valenzuela City that correspond to the 15-minute city concept. First, their disciplina villages, in-city resettlement communities that house at least 5,400 informal settler families from danger zones. These complete neighborhoods have nearby schools, health centers, city hall annexes, community vegetable farms, transport terminals, markets, and recreational spaces. However, during the pandemic, the parks and open spaces in the villages were closed to limit the spread of the virus. We personally suggest that future interventions should consider how to limit the operation of parks so that they are still usable as social refuge sites and mental rest places for residents. The job portal of Valenzuela also makes job hunting more ubiquitous. Valenzuela City hosts a job portal online which as of July 2022 had 228 job postings from 490 employers, most of which are located within Valenzuela City. This fact promotes localization of the work aspect of the 15-minute city concept. As most of the job postings are clerical, this can also be done from home. The focal of our study, or the trigger of this study, was the pedestrianization of Fatima Avenue. Through pedestrianizing this segment that links residential areas to the MacArthur Highway, the avenue walkability and social interaction along the avenue increased. The avenue is now a venue for food bazaars and social events. Valenzuela City also hosts a number of parks for different purposes. For example, the city has a family park, a fishing village, a sports park, and a history park. This diversity of purposes is aligned with the aspect of 15-minute city towards increasing the different social opportunities for social interactions. What are the challenges for Philippine 15-minute cities? First, low funding allocation for road-based public transport. Second, low potential for telework. Third, unprotected bicycle lanes. Fourth, threats of gentrification. And fifth, the traditional zoning paradigm. A 2021 study cites that between 2010 and 2021, only 1% of the total road-based infrastructure budget was allocated for road-based public transport. And this has been manifested in our roads, becoming congested due to the domination of private transportation. Telework is also low in potential in Philippine working landscape, as 4 to 6% of Filipino employed workers work in occupations where all tasks are quote-unquote teleworkable. These statistics underscore the importance of local job opportunities within or near cities. Having in-city jobs that are accessible to residential communities will prevent lost productivity and time. Bicycle lanes are an instrumental in creating global 15-minute cities. In our paper, you can see how bicycles are the main mode of transportation in global 15-minute cities. Though cycling served as a temporary solution during the pandemic, until now, cycling is a chosen transport mode for most of our low-income countrymen. Facilities that protect cyclists are lacking, making cycling an unsafe mode roadwise. The traditional zoning paradigm is also an important consideration. Form-based codes that promote place-based urbanism and planning must be adopted and is compatible with the Filipino culture of using buildings and housing for multiple uses. Gentrification displaces informal settlers in the Philippines and is one of the most important critics of the 15-minute city concept, as it quotes fails to address the threat of gentrification, historical urban inequity, and segregation. In the Philippines, this is already happening. Quiet residential neighborhoods can become noisy for residents when commercialized. Walkable cities for residents are disconnected from transportation systems outside of the city. Given these challenges, what are the opportunities? First, the full devolution executive order has increased the base for local government units to allot funding for projects that were previously not prioritized because of low profitability. The open data concept of smart cities can also be adapted to break down information barriers and provide an accessible platform for public, public participation. The Green 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 program of DBM also is an opportunity for local government units to develop parks and open spaces. Valenzuela City's own Polo Park was upgraded with support from the Green 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 program. The Spanish influence to Philippine cities plays an opportunity for arranging cities and barangays that already cater to proximity-based needs. Markets, schools, health centers are already located within communities, and we can leverage this location of the primary social services already. As an aside, the sari-sari store in the Philippine context also represents hyperlocal commerce. Hyperlocal commerce. In the absence of green spaces and social venues, this neighborhood store becomes the social gathering place. Fifth is the shifting policy in housing for in-city and near-city residential projects. Housing projects are also being integrated with cultural and economic features, as cited by one article that advised the increase of the lot size for resettlement projects because of the need for households to include business opportunities. Sixth is there are existing policies for flexible work arrangements already. The telecommuting law of 2018 and the 2022 circular for government employees. Flexible working arrangements can help increase the ubiquity of work opportunities and decrease the need for travel to work. Existing standards for local government planning can also be reinforced through including form-based coding and thresholds for recreational facilities and open spaces. These are already in the existing guidelines and should be and national government agencies should ensure the enforcement of these standards. For example, cities and municipal parks should measure 500 square meters for every 1,000 population. Subdivision parks and playgrounds should not be less than 100 square meters for projects that are 1 hectare or more. As I end, I hope you saw that creating 15-minute Philippine cities is challenging but feasible. It has multiple benefits. It can ease our access to jobs and services. And with existing efforts and facing challenges through leveraging opportunities, we can address and make how we work, live, and play better than today. Thank you.